So there was a tongue-in-cheek comment on social media earlier, and people compared him to Paul Madeley, the Leeds and England legend, just because of his versatility. He gave his all and did well.
You're going back to my era now.
Yeah. He did so well
Yeah.
in every position he was put in, and he gave his all. And again, it was a tongue-in-cheek comment, but I thought that was interesting. And as I said, I heard the physicality comparison with JJ as well.
So welcome back to BCFC Royal Blue, and Birmingham City earlier today made their 12th signing of the transfer window, bringing in midfielder Taylor Gardner-Hickman from Bristol City on loan with a view to with an option to buy. In this video, we're just going to do a quick overview of Taylor and just discuss his attributes and what he may bring to Birmingham City. So, Matt, what do you think of the signing?
So I think for the interest of this video, Dad, I'm going to refer to him as Taylor to stop me getting tongue-tied.
It is a long name, isn't it?
Pronouncing it wrong, yeah. But before we go into specifics about him and what I'm impressed by, for me, the best thing about this transfer, again, is competition, squad depth. It creates that space for places again. And I think he's brought in specifically for the centre mid, so a backup in some regards to Paik and Leonard. So this should, in theory, push their game even higher as well, having that competition behind them. So I love the fact we've got a squad now, we've got good depth. I know I know we have to improve on the strikers and get more depth there, but overall now as a squad, we have really good competition for spaces, don't we? Which is really impressive to see. And I think that's going to make all the difference at this level, because I've heard a lot of interviews with League One managers, Dad, and they talk about squad depth, not having the numbers, not having the rotation. And Birmingham now have such quality in depth. We've spoke about our fitness levels, we spoke about the 80-plus mark, 80-plus minute mark. We're tiring teams out. We've got quality now to come off from the bench, haven't we? Just having that depth is brilliant. But coming back to Taylor, I'm impressed with his age. I'm impressed with his versatility. I think that's one of his biggest traits. He can play many different positions. And as I said, I think he's primarily came in for that backup in the centre mid position to push Leonard and Paik and create that space there. But a little bit from West Brom and Bristol City fans, they said he's comfortable on the ball, he has high energy, he's good technically, and he'll want to prove himself. So for League One, I think this is a great signing.
He's exactly what you need. I mean, the point you made, I think, is excellent in that it's strength in depth. It's not just strength, that we've got like a first 11. We've now got virtually in every position, all around the pitch, we've got good players to come in. And I think it's easy to look at this as, Birmingham City have made their 12th sign of the season and they're bringing in players by the boatload. But this is about having that level of competition and realising that we do need players, extra players, to fill those gaps when we have injuries, suspensions, where we've got all these games, and where even Chris Davies spoke in his pre-match interview for the Orient game, saying that he is going to have to rotate his squad, and players like this, I'll come on to why in a minute. I think, this is such a good signing. Really excellent signing. He's going to make our even stronger. I also think as well, he's plugging the gap that JJ left.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, people have made that comparison with his physicality. I heard earlier, physicality-wise, he's quite similar to JJ. And if you saw JJ in the pre-season, he'd really improved his physicality. I was really impressed with that. So if he can come in and fill that gap, I'm more than happy with that. And so there was a tongue-in-cheek comment on social media earlier, and people compared him to Paul Madeley, the Leeds and England legend, just because of his versatility. He gave his all and did well.
You're going back to my era now.
He did so well in every position he was put in, and he gave his all. And again, it was a tongue-in-cheek comment, but I thought that was interesting. And as I said, I heard the physicality comparison with JJ as well. So
that's a good comparison. Everybody hated that Leeds team, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, the Leeds team with Paul Madeley in it. It was known as a really ruthless team. So if he's anything like Paul Madeley, I think, and we do need that, because we need that steel in midfield, don't we? And also as well, what I like is he's 1.88 metres, which is 6'2".
Yeah,
he's tall as well. And we've
tall,
said before, haven't we, Matt? We need height. We brought it in with him. But you mentioned when you were talking at the very beginning about his energy, and I think that's where we'll really benefit from him, because Chris Davies is playing high energy football. This guy, I don't know if you had the opportunity to see his interview.
I did, yeah.
He mentioned that he loves running around, doesn't he? He loves the energy, he loves the competitiveness, and I like that. I like that, because players, I could say the usual things. I love scoring goals and but he actually, I just love getting stuck in. That made me think, that's what we want in midfield.
And he also spoke about being a local lad. He spoke about Birmingham City being back to where it belongs to be. So he was saying all the right things in his interview, Ernie, and I thought that was quite an impressive interview. He came across quite calm and collected. He knew what he was saying, and it was really impressive to hear from him. So I think he's found the right club. And again, I know we say this a lot. It might sound like a cliche, I guess, at this point. I think this is the right player under Chris Davis again. I think he's really going to develop his game. And with the style of football we're playing, with his energy levels and the way he gets about the pitch, this team could be perfect for him.
I completely agree. We're really getting those types of players now, because we said last season when we had the managers come in to try to make that current squad try to play a different style of football, they could never do it. But now we've got no excuses, because these players have been specifically brought in to play Chris Davis's possession-based style of football as well. This chap as well, obviously, he came through the West Bromwich Albion youth system, so he's well known to the area, West Bromwich Albion. Then he went to Bristol City on loan, and eventually they made that loan permanent. I think they paid, from what I can see, 1.5 million for him. And I'd be guessing that if we were to take that option to buy him at the end of the season, we'd be looking at a similar type of fee, because he has played a lot of games in the Championship. I just looked at last season.
88, isn't it? He's played.
Well, he's played in the Championship. He's played your champion. Yeah, good stats, mate. Yeah, 88 games.
That wasn't a guess. I have got it on my computer.
Okay. I was going, wow. Yeah, it is exactly 88 games he's played in the Championship. So that'll be some for West Brom, some for Bristol City as well.
That's a lot of experience at that level.
It is really good, isn't it, as well? He hasn't played at League One before, so that'll be interesting. I think he'll be a good player at League One. Played 60 games for West Brom, scored 2 goals and 3 assists, and he played 40 games for Bristol City in that short period of time there. So he was a first choice for them. I noticed as well, I looked at Bristol City's match record last season where he was on loan and when obviously they actually brought him. And up until the 38th game of the season, so virtually all the way through the season, he was literally playing for the vast majority of the 90 minutes, because it tells you on my stats how many minutes he played per game. So he wasn't being substituted or anything like that. He was playing that. But I think he must have got injured, because the games after that says not in squad, which is usually when they've got an injury. And then he came back towards the end of the season, was more used as a substitute, which is typical of a player that's coming back off an injury. So it tells me that at the time, he was a really important player for Bristol City in the Championship. So that's good news. We're not buying a second choice here, I don't think. He's a first choice midfielder.
Yeah, and again, this is just going off a couple of forums and a couple of various areas on social media. The West Brom fans said he was a really good talent. And again, the Bristol City fans, fair enough, he's not quite breaking into their first team at the moment, but they still say he's a talent and he's got a lot of ability. They like his energy.
Well, he's 22, isn't he?
He's young, exactly. He's got his whole career and his best years ahead of him.
It fits the profile of the players that we're buying, because they did say that we're going to buy young, hungry players that we can develop, and he fits that profile perfectly.
The forum I was on has a top sort of 5 of his ability and top 4 I read of what he brings to a team and his positive attributes. I'm sure you've got this backed up as well, Dad. So we'll go back and forth on this. Number 1, and this is proven with the amount of positions he plays, and everyone's feeding back about his ability to get around the pitch, is his versatility. So he can play in a lot of positions. I think we agree that he's been primarily brought in for that competition in the centre mid with Paik and Leonard, but he can play in the fullback position in emergencies. He can play across the whole stretch of the midfield. I mean, how great is that? If you get suspensions and injuries, you've got a backup. Even though it might not be his strongest position, he's capable of playing across the pitch, which is really important.
Good point. I mean, so for example, at the moment, if you think about our central midfield of Paik and Leonard, if any of those two got injured, you'd be thinking who would give you similar, because we could put players in those positions, but who would give you similar characteristics to those two type of players? And at the moment, I don't think there is anybody. Now we have.
Agreed.
So we got, again, it's just adding that extra layer of strength in depth. So that's really good.
100%. And at this level, you need that strength in depth, because we're going to be playing 60 plus games this season. So we need, players are going to get tired. We need to rotate, and this is where I think we're going to excel, because we're going to have quality coming off the bench. So another good one, and I love this one, is he's really strong from dead balls, corners, free kicks, getting crosses in the box, all these things. And we've said this season that, haven't we? We need that killer instinct. We need a bit more of a quality final product, and he could be the guy who brings that to us when he comes
height in the box as well. Like, of corners we've lacked that, haven't we? Obviously we've got Williamson when he's on.
I think he'll be taking the corners though. I think possibly he's that strong from dead ball situations, like his delivery. Sorry, I probably should have specified that a little bit more. Clear. So his corners, his free kicks. He's a bit of a dead ball, not specialist, but that's definitely high up on his strength list, which is good. He likes to take long shots. I said in the last podcast, I'd like players to test keepers more at range. And he likes to tackle and get stuck in. He doesn't mind doing the dirty side of the game. So again, we talk about end product with Blues. We talk about getting stuck in, those characteristics that the fans love. Let's see what the kid's got. But for me, it seems like he's going to fit in really well.
Exactly. So it's another stat I always look at, and people who watch our channel will know that I love looking at players' heat maps.
I love a heat map.
Yeah, the heat maps show you the average position a player is on a pitch for a number of games. And I've looked at his heat map for last season. This is based upon 38 games that I was talking about for Bristol City. Now, when you look at heat maps, for most players, there's normally like a red bit dotted around somewhere, like on the left, predominantly on the
by
right.
Their position.
By their position, yeah. Here. And the red bit, so the darker, so it goes from yellow to red, and obviously the darker the colour, the more near to red, the more prominent they are in that position. This guy's heat map is pretty much all over the midfield. So if anything, the red is very slightly towards the left, but it's not dominated. Basically, what it showed me, the heat map, is that he covers an awful lot of ground.
Yeah.
And it is in midfield as well. So, it literally is all that midfield. Clearly, there are areas when he needs to get back and where he will be in attack, but it is concentrated primarily in midfield, which is what we would want to see for this type of midfielder. So that's encouraging as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love players like that. We come back to those Robbie Savages and all that. Those players that just run the engine. And I remember seeing the heat map from Wickham. The heat maps are really important, actually. They give you a really good indication of what Chris Davis is trying to do. And just to back up your heat map here, I saw Ethan Laird's heat map from the Wickham game, and he was basically a right wing / forward because he was. And again, they give you a really good indication of where players are dotted around the pitch. So, final things for me, Dad. I love his versatility. I think he's going to fit in really well. I love his energy. And, if we can see a bit more decisiveness in terms of from his dead balls, delivery, having shots at distance, getting stuck in, I have no doubt he's going to be a really good asset for us this season.
Yeah, I think you're right. And, you mentioned the versatility. That is a big thing as well, that he can adapt to different types and styles of positions as well. Just a few other positives to finish with. Athleticism as well. He's very athletic. He's very fit, gets around the pitch. Passing as well, one of the attributes is, very capable passer.
You have to be in Chris Davis's team. And as a centre mid, so.
But also as well, he's also known for making defensive contributions. He does seem to be a player that has everything you would want from a midfield. And obviously, I'm surprised Bristol City have let him go. I know that they progressed and they bought players, obviously, and that's what happens sometimes. They bring in players, and then that allows other players to move on. But I'm pleased we've got him, because I think, to me, he looks like a quality championship player.
A lot of people have been saying that. And, he's a championship player. And we've said it all this time, Dad. The board have said they want a championship-ready squad for when we do bounce back. And it looks like, genuinely, again, I know other fans are going to think this is arrogant, but with the signings we've made this season, the recruitment has been that good. I think we could do pretty well in the Championship.
Yeah, we've got to get out this League One, you're right.
Of course. And again, I don't want that to be taken out of context. That's not me saying we're above League One. We are exactly where we deserve to be because we got relegated. I'm just making a point that the board have put their money where their mouth is, and they've got players in. And the recruitment have got players in capable of playing at a higher level.
Fair play. I mean, this signing took us by surprise, and you'll know that by the size of my laptop here. We've had to do this recording at quite short notice because it happened quite unexpectedly, and I've had to use my older laptop. And I always mention a laptop because somebody always comments on, "Oh, you've got your old laptop again." So that's why we have it for this particular podcast. But overall, good quality signing, and another player that I think is going to add a lot to our squad for this season. So what do you think, Birmingham City supporters? It'd be fantastic to get your opinions on what you think about Taylor. Where do you think he'll fit into the squad? What do you think about his contribution, or what his contribution will be to the Birmingham City team? Let us know your comments. Obviously, add them below. We're always happy to receive them. If you did like this video, then of course don't forget to give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't checked us out on our social media channels already, then pop along to our X page and our Instagram page. And we're also on Spotify as well now, and you'll see the handles appearing on the screens for them right now. And of course, if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any future content all about Birmingham City. And myself and Matt will see you on the next video.